Well, the best laid plans on mice and men, gang, after the delay. Oh, there it is. So, first of all, the Grolier Poetry Bookstore has been in existence as a bookstore, a sort of social gathering place since 1927. Not so long ago, historically, the Ifani Menkidi, whose broadside James just talked about, bought the store from Louisa, and he died a while ago, but his family has kept the store going, and I'm deeply grateful to them because this is a wonderful institution. One of the best things they ever did was to hire James Fraser as the manager. James has completely transformed the feeling of this place, which was, well, let's just say he's made it a very friendly place. A friendly place to come and browse, a friendly place to read, a friendly place to stock your books. So thank you, James, for all the hard work that you do. So there are 3 poets reading tonight, and I hope that you will purchase at least 1, if not 3 books. Some of these, do you guys have other books here besides these? Okay, so there are other books if these aren't enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce, so the 3 poets are Partridge Boswell, Ben Landry, or Benjamin officially, and Thomas DeFreitas. And I'm going to introduce them one at a time. They'll read, and then I'll come up and introduce the next one. So first, Partridge Boswell. Partridge was supposed to read here last fall. He wasn't able to do it, but I got pretty familiar with his poetry, and I'm so glad to be able to introduce him. If, as some would have it, poetry is a mirror we peer into to recognize our souls, in the poetry of Partridge Boswell, we are cautioned about a mirror's usefulness. Quote, a mirror won't tell you any more than a blackmailed sycophant, unquote, argues the speaker of Heckler. In his poem Psalm, a mirror's residue after a firestorm, I'm guessing that's what's going on here, has taken down a neighborhood full of these reflecting devices, and this is not to be ignored. Quote, I pity the fear that finds rest solely in a mirror's graven mug, never its ashen creosote. Another kind of reflection achieved by looking into someone else's eyes might reel out as something more reliable, something redemptive. We can look each other in the beacons of our eyes and for the first time actually see someone else beyond our own craggy shore. And as in the poem Waterwise, it is always the eyes scanning the past, depositing it into the future, mourning the present absence of a friend who has died. Funny how you're no and everywhere, and in the same wink, freed from panic boxes, we go looking for you now in the Azores or Seychelles or the pond next door. If William Butler Yeats understands that perception must ultimately lodge where all the ladders start, quote, in the foul rag and bone shop of the heart, the speaker of Boswell's On Reading Audre Lorde at Anamacarig ponders over the accuracy of perception amidst the jetsam and flotsam of experience. Yet here on shore, how can one judge the size of capsizing whitecap, selfies, humble brag, and rants, the flotillas of sipped straws? The almost aching companionability Boswell speakers feel for their compadres, living and dead, has another side, regret for those who do not know how to break bread with another, as in the poem Psalm, when the speaker offers pity for, quote, the solipsist for whom love's assimilation will always be an asymptote. The word asymptote derives from a Greek word that means not falling together. Solipsists are those who imagine themselves living in a world in which their minds are the only sure thing. And don't we all know a few people like that? Sometimes companionability is wound up with ability. And the speaker of my very favorite Partridge Boswell poem, The Deep End, understands that the friend who became paralyzed after a diving accident can only now be witness and not participant. Seeing him strapped to his chair that summer after, staring from his porch at the breakers we body surfed just last year, one finds it hard to loll on the beach and burn, to feel safe in our skin and not question the tidal rocks we never thought twice about leaping from. Harder still to take the moon seriously again with its mezzanine of stars, listening, overwhelmed with longing. To be overwhelmed with longing. Is that not what impels a poet to create the lyric poem that lodges in our teeth? Listen to Partridge Boswell and let his words quiver your jawbone all the way through to your auditory canal.
Oh, thank you so much. So kind of you, Tom. You could go on all night. I'd be very happy. Just listening. Yeah, thanks. I so appreciate how you focus on the poems and the experience of the poems, and not simply a rehashing of publications, accolades, etc. So here's
to speak up, Partridge.
Here's to you, Tom. I'll do my best. I too was expecting a microphone, but here we are, right? I'll do my best to shout to those volumes at the back of this huge room. It's an enormous room. It grows when you get up here. I want to say thanks to James for all he does, and for, of course, inviting me back, letting me redeem my rain check from back in, when was it, May? I was supposed to be here, but COVID had another thing in mind, so I'm a little giddy to finally be here, and delighted to be here with Thomas and Ben as well, getting to know their poetry, getting to know them through their poetry, and can't wait to hear them read. So let's see where the night goes, shall we? I will be reading primarily from Levis Corner House, also from a brand new chapbook called Heckler. And I'll start with, well, geographically will place us in the first place we came to when we came to West Cork, where we've been spending a lot of time over the past 8 or 9 years. This was our very first visit. Sort of depicts in a way where we were. A couple terms you may not be familiar with. Furs is another word for gorse, and a Gaelic term, fulloch feared, is kind of a Neolithic double boiler that the ancients used to cook with. I think that's all you have to know for this. The stone cottage sits tacit as a tomb, quieter than noise-canceling headphones on a windless pandemic afternoon that can only think of itself, and so opts not to think. The owners are away, but left a note. Walk in, latch the door, and you've stoppered time. Nothing gets in or out, save smoke from a basket of black turf by the hearth. From that refurbished famine farm, perched 2 cliff high to hear rollers roar below, you can see Fastnet tacked to the horizon, and Cape Clear, where once birders sighted a vagabond bobolink blown clear across the pond. As a rule, stones will sing, though these lie silent as the she-hare we spied our first morning, crouched like a doorstop, nibbling dewgrass under the hedge, so still she disappears when you blink. Stone mute as devoted oath-keepers, sworn to archive windward sighs of luck and loss, joy and woe. Stone thick as hay bales quarried from a gone time, before ignorance and thought light engulfed the barren land with firs, yellow and rueful as Athenry, benign and lovely to look at, until you slipped and fell into a copse of it crossing the moor. Then you found other names for it. That day we fell into a new rhythm, old as a fullock feared, resisting an urge to leap up and run outside every time some face appeared like a neighbor at the window, begging sugar, offering jam, expecting tea, no urgency. She'd be back in a moment, and again tomorrow. Come morning, a pale horse grazing the slope across the road, horizon in every direction. We folded our secrets and left them beside a spray of hawthorn on the kitchen table. On cool, wet days, a thin braid of peat smoke threading the sea mist. But only if you live in those parts. Has anyone here ever been heckled?
First time for anything.
Yeah, okay. No, but you've all
Yes.
been in
Yes.
circumstance, sort of a public event, a public situation where someone has been, yeah. Well, this is for those of us who get to endure that. Is anyone a heckler? I should probably ask that too. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Okay. Well, this is for the hecklers. This is for the hecklers too. I always wondered what that would be like, a heckler at a poetry reading. Read something good.
Take the other road.
Make it a full.
Oh, it's possibilities are endless. Okay, so this is from that other new chapbook, and it's after. I should probably. It's also a visual poem. You can see it's kind of like a reverse golden shovel in a way, because it's got a poem down down that left margin, an acrostic. Yeah, that's a Thomas. I know you're a fan of the golden shovel. Yeah, so I'll read that after I read the poem. After Anais Nin and Leonard Cohen, Heckler. And naturally, I had no choice but to holler, "Hey, you in the back!" Then the whole audience woke and cringed. So I focused. No, not you. The one beside you, who thinks he's not cracked like the rest of us. Today is your lucky day. I hate to break it to you, especially since you came here to dissipate in the crowd. Don't take it too hard, but when surfaces craze, chances are their truth aches to amaze us. The last cracks I saw like that, hands chalked them to lower the risk of slipping. No doubt you assumed you were safe back there, to chill with the shy kids and slackers. You just phone surf and remain semi-conscious without getting called on or out, hanging tight with the silence. But hey, now's your shot to have your say in public, and tweet it too. Cast off and sing in your sinking. A chance to join the leaky boats of our stories full of holes. Listen, bud, don't expect your neighbor next to you to save you. This rift was no one's fault line but your own. A mirror won't tell you any more than a blackmailed sycophant. Only you know where it got painful and shroomed into every dark room of you, more predictably than a Marvel script. Awaiting the day you'd crack wide open and let the light shine in undimmed. What's that? You've heard that old asterisk lyric before? Some crackpot troubadour in a black fedora? It must be true then. Forget the stitches and glue the stuff dentists took hours shellacking your teeth with. It's a war you can't win or lose. To reiterate, here's a hammer. You know what to do. And BT Dubs, that blossom of light inside you, it needs a way to get out, too. Here's a newer one called Psalm, which is It's actually also a song, that brand new song for our trio. We have a bard band, and this is one of the newer songs. Psalm after Mr. T. Words, sound, speech, men, memory, thought, fears, and emotions, time, all related, all made from one. John Coltrane. I pity the tongues of those for whom cilantro tastes like soap. Pity the bruisers and galoots who got sucked so easily into Ali's rope-a-dope. I pity the fear that finds rest solely in a mirror's graven mug, never its ashen creosote. Pity the solipsist for whom love's assimilation will always be an asymptote. I pity ears that won't sync Mercy's words and music, thought's vibration with a sung note. I pity the indigent soul with nothing but hollow bone bird song to build its levees and bridges of hope. Pity the soloist convinced we're born to live and die alone. I pity the fool who listens to a love supreme and hears a saxophone. All right, back to West Cork. And if you're ever in West Cork and you're on the Sheepshead Peninsula, I hope you get the chance to take this path. It's highly recommended. The Poet's Way went from walled paddocks through a mute glen of seagrass, curried by ceaseless susurration, gleaning secrets from a pentameter of countless steps who passed here one to the next. And by the time you reach the lighthouse and peer into a tidal crevasse, where 3 girls drowned a century ago and so added their names to the cliff's brutal beauty, and see the stray lamb suckling his stray mother where the land ends, and wonder how sheep could wander so far in a shepherd's dream, and what moved people to farm such rocky, desolate slopes where wind tears at mandrake roots, and why still they try, unless perhaps the gale's plaintive howl reminds them every moment to joyfully toss their entire life into the scales of fate. And by the time you pass a small shrine tucked into the hillside, Our Lady of the Wayside, her open arms and beatific gaze imparting succoring grace to any wayward traveler in need of rest or strength, plodding hungrily up to the car park's stone cafe to brave the tour bus crowd after communing all day with metaphysics of wind and sea, the solitary self, a high cairn set in stark relief against the sky, straining, reaching out to touch what's either lighting God's face or the backside of just another cliche, before your soul can get its bearings and shrink. You leave their safe, complacent numbers behind to amble final miles on legs gone slack, your sun and salt-lashed face glowing transfigured by forces no mill or pen can harness, your spirit untamable and wild as white horses galloping across the bay. It's impossible to say where exactly, which view, among hundreds, what beauty too breathless to be held or loss too sad to retell. What stretch of rock or dirt or bog sacrificed itself to the gust that blew your heart open? Which stile you clambered over, meandering unmown fields or farms perennially on the edge of ruin? Trusting a well-trod thread as your head wandered aimless as a poet's cloud over landscapes real and imagined, fingering scales laden with the weight of unshorn wool, turning your back on numbers and stones when the nurse weighs you from birth until your last appointment's intake. Every measuring up, a gathering and scattering until even that staunch superstition fades and falls away in the joyous, mournful mourn of your mother's sulky voice drifting out with the tide. You toss your entire life in anyway, shattered and unrecognizable to anyone but you, burnished clean of every bright path, tried or true, the fleet shadow of every thought. And what Irish chapbook would be complete without a pub song? We're all familiar with the Irish goodbye. Yeah, okay, that's pretty clear, but do you know an Irish hello? We saw a neat trick at the Loch Bar in Limerick whilst waiting for the nightly trad session to begin. A stout rogue of impish ebullience blew into the crowded public house and announced, "The greatest man in Ireland's about to walk through this door. When he does, let him know how much you cherish and love him. Here he comes!" And there we stood, on the edge of our stools, tippling a buzz, reveling in unmasked company again, the hushed room of long-lost interlopers, now friends, electric with anticipation. Is it Bono? Michael Higgins? Roy Keane? Paul Mescal? Gabriel Byrne? Liam Neeson? The Pope? When a bloke ordinary as you or me walks in, sidekick of our jolly oracle, to the roar of 100 half-drunk idolaters working hard with hands and mouths to give a run-of-the-mill Joe, regular as rain, a hero's welcome and pint-raised ovation, celebrating his infinite acclaim and legend, which is, of course, our own, the prank being on none but us. Whereupon the man, soiled, but soon soaking it up, smiles and waves to his most ardent fans and admirers, then ducks back out the door and across the quay to have a quiet pint by the stream and a word with his tireless impresario, who, by luck or fate, can't help conflating love and fame. And this will be my last. Thanks again to James and the whole Grolier clan for all they do, supporting poets and bringing their poems to life. And thanks to you for being here and for listening and not heckling. Yet. Just you wait. And there's an Irish word in here as well. Eveness. If anyone knows. No. It's a sort of a wordless bliss. Let's just leave it at that. Comes with an epigraph. Draw a new circle. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Enzo Carousel. One whirl, all music and bright color, wild horses and laughter running a black circle, imperfect as pie to 1,000 reams of paper. Over, under, alternate faster until they blur into one current and you ride the dun mare through a burning ring of gold. In this life, the most you can hope for is 1 or 2 friends who won't mind if you love them. 1 or 2 durable songs you never tire of singing and, for reasons unclear, others never tire of hearing. 1 or 2 days drenched with sun and rain that shouldn't but somehow add up to a persistent glow you have no word for but eveness. 1 or 2 memories that haunt you like blue veins of light you assumed were best bled and forgotten, yet deepen and feed you as they darken. 1 or 2 songbirds you never see hidden inside the magnolia, who insist you name them according to their music. 1 or 2 words of advice shirked long ago, you're now dying to impart to any fool who will listen. one or two obsessions that burn in the distance, sacramental flames of your next life. One or two lives crystallized into the salt you needed to taste the one you're living. The most you can hope for is one or two gifts disguised as strangers who arrive well past midnight, who wake tomorrow to bright canopies of wind-kissed light, see you dancing in the highest branches, and decide to stay for breakfast. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Partridge. In Robin Flower's introduction to his translation of a book by Thomas O'Criehan, who was a great Blasket Island storyteller, he says he's interviewing an Irishman who lives on Great Blasket Island, which is off the coast of Dingle. And he says, the Irishman says, "And tell me, if you had no entertainment but the occasional passing of a cloud overhead or the cock of a cricket in the ashes, wouldn't you too be hungry for the lovely dovetailed talk?" And that's what you've given us this evening, lovely dovetailed talk. You read poetry like a great storyteller, and your poetry is beautiful. Thank you so much. Next up is Thomas DeFreitas. This is his book, which is, of all things, a Celtic cross. What's a man like DeFreitas doing with a Celtic cross on the cover of his book? In the poetry of Thomas DeFreitas, there are bothered runes, whiskey sopranos, angels that fail to protect. There are lakes of grace that are pure as the first star kindled in Genesis. There are tears and triumphs stored in a bottle and kept in a book. Letters that have been heart hurt. Darkness that deepens into a sky of balked desire. Have nicotine and sexual arousal ever been more winkingly conjoined than in these lines from Thomas DeFreitas's poem, Amid Cold Churches? And I quote, "Cigarettes secretly, shamelessly smoked, making a crush's breath as sexy as rough foreplay, as hasty humping on a mattress, in a phone booth, four-letter words flung to make virgins blush." Gang members in the urban landscape of DeFreitas's recall sport jackets studded with metal and punk rock badges rather than gang colors. If the poet and playwright Ben Jonson begged a lover to drink to me only with thine eyes, DeFreitas's character's bibuliousness has a wider panorama in mind. Our eyes, 6 chalices, poised to receive the wine of night. In a headnote to the poem A Garland for Jen, the poet directs us to listen for the echoes of W.H. Auden's funeral blues. But could Auden have imagined that the reverberations of his poem might, in vaulting off the walls of Boston and its environs, produce the wit of this comically parochial exhortation? Parochial, remember, comes from parish. Let pizza parlors lose their dough, the grass-banked Charles dry up its flow. Might Auden have glimpsed a future in which his verses could spark this more universally urban, gloomy solicitation? Skies grow sick as a grunge band's mood. Young buskers pause and sit and brood. In an era in which snide academics and their impressionable apprentices still relegate rhyme to the precincts of light verse, song lyrics, weathered saws, and nursery rhymes, DeFreitas is unabashed about the use of punchy end rhyme that takes the gloves off. Mindful of the vote-grubbing Massachusetts city councilor who attends every wake in her or his district, especially during the campaign season, DeFreitas' speaker demands of a glad-handing candidate, "Quit your spiel." The bluntness of the insistence combines pathos and outrage, carried off with a completely unexpected follow-up to the eel sound in spiel. My friend lies dead. Bow down and kneel. Thomas DeFreitas.
Well, thank you all for being here. First of all, thank you, Tom, for a fabulous introduction. James Fraser for making Grolier a place of hospitality and continuing the good work of Mrs. Benkede and the Benkede family. I always say it's great to be in a place, and to be reading in the company of poets of the caliber of Partridge and Ben is indeed a privilege. I always say when I read someplace, it's great to be in a place where poetry is happening. Well, I have to expand on that. Reading at the Grolier for the first time, it's great to be in a place where poetry has happened for 99 years, is continuing to happen, and please God will continue to happen for some years to come. I'm going to be reading tonight from the book Elegies and Devotions, which is that Celtic cross book from which Tom quoted generously. I'm going to begin with the devotions part. The devotions part is a sequence called Where No Water Is. And the speaker of that sequence is in a place where he feels he's been following all the rules of his religion, and yet is wrestling with gnawing feelings of malcontentedness or dissatisfaction. So, where no water is, that's a quotation from Psalm 63. My soul thirsts for you, my flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where no water is. I am Zacchaeus, fumbling up the sycamore to catch a glimpse. I am the leper flinging my corruption onto the healer's mercy. I am the woman at the well, parched at high noon as a dry and barren land where no water is. I am the psalmist. Grief dims my eyes. My beauty is gone for very trouble. I am Pope Francis, kneeling to wash the feet of inmates on Maundy Thursday. I am a prisoner of sin, a mendicant of mercy, begging for blessings, greedy for grace. I am Mary of Bethany, and Jesus rides the number 15 bus through the heart of the city, down Ruggles and Dudley. Smiling, unsmiling, radiant and weary, brown and black faces of the sweet Lord Christ, Domine non sum dignus, but only say the word, and my soul shall be healed. Repentance, says a friend, does not wear a long face, as it is the freedom to rejoice. Is it liberating to be abject? Is it exaltation to be humble? Is it resurrection to be dust? I wait in expectation of the Lord who does not incline to hear my cry. Dare we hope in a God who loves us, not in spite of, but because? Can our eyes discern in love's humiliation the delicate harbingers of something called glory? Can our soul perceive in love's destitution any bud, any spear of grass, any sign of new life? My Lord, my God, You cannot be that white-bearded cartoon. My Lord, my God, are you the love that religion seems to forbid? My Lord, my God, can you restore all that you have taken away? My Lord, my God, do you reside on high in the clouds or live among bricks and dust? My Lord, my God, behold your faithful servant beneath a heap of rubble. My Lord, my God, who do you think you are treating me this way? My heart cannot rest in you. You have given my soul no peace. You are the cruel fate to which I am condemned, my Lord, my God. You are the cross on which I hang. So that was most of the sequence of Where No Water Is. I'm going to do, I think, 4. I had planned on 3, but I'm going to do 4 of the elegies from the front part of the book, A Garland for Jen. They are elegies to my late friend Jen, who died of metastatic cancer some 7 or 8 Augusts ago at the age of 44. There are 2 elegies with which I'll give you Jen before her death, Jen after her death, and then some of the rhymed elegies of which Tom spoke so kindly. The elegies by number in the book, those of you who may have the book, will be 4, 9, 2, and 6 in that order. I won't announce the numbers, but you'll hear the shift in tone, I hope. From A Garland for Jen. I remember that hot November day we met, 77 degrees. The 3 of us, you and me and Debba, we sat in Sheila's booth at the Arlington Diner for mid-afternoon breakfast. Omelets the size of Montana. When you drove up Mass Ave, you blew cigarette smoke through the rolled-down window. The wind blew it back in. You nudged the gas pedal with a flip-flopped foot. During the ride, you and Debba mentioned Murph, the 80-year-old fixture of the Alston Nooner. You called Murph a Mac Daddy. Our friendship took root and flourished as the months went by. If you saw I was getting cranky on Facebook, you'd call me up at 10 at night or later. Talk to me, kid. What's going on? I'd always thank you. You'd always shrug it off. It's what friends do. You do the same for me. The Easter before your last, I gave you the Glenstall Book of Prayers with the purple cover and a book of rosary stories, miracles, wonders. You gave me the preconciliar missal, half in French, half in Latin, that had belonged to Sister Philomena, your beloved aunt. I can still see the glow-in-the-dark Batman logo on your black t-shirt as you sat up in your hospital bed, chatting with visitors. At one point, I made bold to say, I just adore you. You said, oh, right back at you. At your wake, your mom said to me, her voice alive with gentle evidence of her native Ireland, she was always there for people, always helping people. Father Brian said the Mass at St. Columkills. Danny remembered you in a eulogy, booby-trapped with affectionate jokes and tear-jerking memories. How badly you drove. How you cherished your recovery. How unfailingly kind you were to anyone in need. We all had lunch at the stockyard afterwards. I sat with the 8 pallbearers, all of them women, and one inked-up fellow describing how painful it was to get a tattoo of the holy name. Jesus was a nightmare. I have a heart-shaped vial of Lord's water, which Edward the ex-monk gave me. I'll never place it in your hands. We'll never make the trip to Battery Street in the North End to visit the sprawling brick alley shrine called All Saints' Way. But I'll always remember the day we met, you and me and Debba in the Arlington diner, the holy, reckless, bright transfiguration that knocked 7 bells out of me. I'll listen to the soundtrack of our friendship. We didn't really have a specific playlist, but certain songs seem right. Anything Celtic, anything Catholic, anything big and boisterous. U2's Gloria, Van Morrison's Moondance, Tantum Ergo Sacramentum. These are the days of spectacle and I can never deliver the several million kisses I had saved up for the ground you walked on, for the feet you walked with. Let YouTube and Facebook go dark. Let Frisbees be banned from JFK Park. Let pizza parlors lose their dough. The grass-banked Charles dry up its flow. Dive bars on Causeway Street close down. Rose petals wither. Summer leaves turn brown. Skies grow sick as a grunge band's mood. Young buskers pause and sit and brood. Preacher, stuff your rant about sin. Used car salesman, wipe off that grating grin. Glad-handing candidate, quit your spiel. My friend lies dead. Bow down and kneel. I've thought of sending her a text, but her fierce heart's stopped beating. Christ, what next? I've wept a black sea 10 miles deep. There's nothing I can do but weep. Her shoulders cold, I cannot lean. We won't chat on the phone till 2:15. Her eyes are locked against the sun. The days I laughed with her are done. I won't sing a winsome ballad, as my strings are all unstrung. I'll forsake my merry mischief. You were taken far too young. I won't swim the English Channel, I won't climb an alpine peak. Since you died, my hopes are rubble. I've been crying for a week. I won't lift a glass of Guinness. I'll abstain from Maker's Mark. I'll put down the gin martini. No more cocktails after dark. How I've searched for you in churches, but despite my anguished prayer, all I see are sculpted angels. I can't find you anywhere. August will collapse to autumn with its nights of killing frost. Faith would say that God has gained you. I will weep for what I've lost. Now I stumble through a city where the trace and trail of you evanesce to cherished memories in my heart, so bruised, so blue. You were sunlight, you were fire, you were Holy Eucharist, you were Irish Catholic Boston, yours the blush bright cheek I kissed. In the spring, you had a backache, and they told you what it was. And it stole you in the summer. I ask why. there's no because. I can't rouse you from your coffin. I can't raise you from the dust. I can't get your stopped pulse beating. I protest because I must. Can't you call me up or text me? Speak some solace through the phone. I ride crowded Cambridge buses, but I'm horribly alone. Thank you all. Peace and light. And one is never horribly alone in a room where poetry is happening. Thank you all.
Tom, did you ever read C.S. Lewis's A Grief Observed?
Many years ago, yes.
I've never heard a more eloquent encounter with grief since that book than what you just read. That
Thank
was
you
really
kindly.
so moving.
Thank you so much.
And I hope you all buy this book. I mean, it's kind of amazing what an oral, a beautifully read poetry reading does to change the impact of words. This reminds me, your reading reminds me so much why poetry was an oral art for most of human history. And, you know, it sort of got bleached out by having been written down. There's actually a culture in Yugoslavia where they until mid 20th century, they refused to allow poetry to be written down. It had to be handed down as an oral art. And I could see why. The other thing I want to say is James is always trying to convert me to Catholicism. I'm just glad he doesn't have your like particular wherewithal, because I'd be in trouble. I'm a militant atheist, but you're pretty damn charming. Good thing you didn't become a priest. Anyway, thank you for that. All right. In the poetry of Benjamin Landry, elocution knots itself into eloquence, and the fingers tying the knots are lit up with, and I quote, phosphorescent ejaculation. They have been lubricated with angelic cast-off. They become the fingers of some robot drudge with solar-powered foresight. If the static on a television screen represents the aftermath of the first 5 minutes of the Big Bang, it has become, by the time of all of Landry's articulations, the snow on the screen, ourselves, our smithereens. Hope reduces to a realization that our creations cannot compensate for our devastations. If, as the speaker of Meep Meep suggests, our delusions sustain us, a few lines later, the same speaker asserts, our backpacks are stuffed with silver parachutes of grief. A caution against attachment loses its chill when we hear the comical arraignment of possibility in romantic endeavors. Boy, I wish somebody had said this to me recently. Sometimes your love straps rockets in his old-timey roller skates, and you just have to let him go. Should an investigation of eloquence require research, we learn from the Landry Dictionary that the word espalier is a noun meaning a row of trees so trained that the rioting of Eden was hemmed in, and birds arrested on the wing were rearrayed on wires, limbs. Thirst, according to this graphic lexicography, presents as a certain necessity of touch, a certain obsessiveness of language. We're back to the ejaculatory when we hear that thirst finishes in this manner. It finds itself going deaf, filthy, and miraculous. That's from the poem Scuttling. The tragedy of our contemporaneous existence gets a very wry twist with this modern day affliction in the poem O Sorority, It's a stalwart competitor for the plague of frogs visited on the hapless Egyptians in Exodus. Thousands of hogs drift like bath toys in the plague waters of the diminishing hurricane. And a prophetic note in recent dispatch suggests that it is not just our graves that will become feasting sites for worms. Our entire civilization may fall prey to them. Now there are no human voices, only feather-ended tube worms fluting. Yet at the end of it all, hope rears its recalcitrant head. Change might be coming, but not everything will lose its familiarity. When the speaker of Never Been carries his daughter on the sidewalk, the neighbors at their computer and video screens he sees on the way might be angels after all. And he envisions that the yellow slit of refrigerator light must be the gates opening wide to take them back to wherever it was, wherever it is that would leave us bereft. If he knows the world will be otherwise, the neighbors' yew trees will be the same trees, in different light. Benjamin Landry.
Thanks so much. Those are lovely introductions, and it's great to hear your poems and your voices. I couldn't imagine any other way. It's great. It's lovely. What are you gonna do for 100 years? Have you thought about the celebration?
To be announced. Many celebrations to come.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for having me and for having us on this night. And thanks to all of you for making it out on a kind of a treacherous night. Yeah. I'm going to read just a little bit from each book, and then I'm going to read some new poems. Okay? Excuse me. This first collection, Particle and Wave, is structured on the periodic table of elements. Each of the atomic symbols or abbreviations are a phoneme. So H, I'm going to read H, hydrogen. You can sound it out in your head, right? But you could go through and sound out these different abbreviations and get a kind of an echo, a pre-echo for what's going to happen in the poem. Hydrogen, H. Imagine the heat generated by Daphne transformed into Laurel. And you can begin to feel what the electron feels in renouncing its steady orbit. The new body is a space humming like a sacristy or an autoclave. Its language both particle and wavelength. Daphne was, of course, an ordinary girl. Desires not especially volatile. She too forgot her terror, nodded off in the glow of a star appearing to explode for billions of years. The rest is medical history. The H off the interstate ramp. How the wound of her new life healed. How the heat shimmer shook her vision afterward. I should say something about the covers of these books because they're by a very dear friend of mine, Thuy Vuong Vu. She's an amazing artist. She lives in Seattle, and I've known her for many years, and she was kind enough to contribute the covers. Burn Lyrics incorporates the extant fragments of Sappho. So whatever we have left of those fragments that weren't burned or lost are up here in these poems. They're based on the translations given to us by Anne Carson in If Not Winter back in 2005. So Each poem corresponds to a fragment, and if you looked in the poem, you would be able to pick out the words in the order in which they appear, but they're spread out within the poem. In Hudson Valley Light. Just as a thought is an orphan raised by wolves. Just as a thought is something barefoot in the Hudson Valley, looking in at squares of light and the grammar of porcelain. Just as a thought is bulky, spooked by rapid motion, aggravated by restraint. How can it know you mean well? Put yourself in the place of a thought. So few kindnesses returned. Wild Grape. This is kind of a game poem. The last line is the fragment, and the poem builds toward it. The last line, the fragment translated from Sappho, is, "I would not think to touch the sky with two arms." Wild Grape. I am told New Englanders must be distant. I would like to submit to the court of public opinion the sweetest roadside grapes. I would not presume that everyone likes grapes, however sweet. I would not think that you would necessarily get off work at a reasonable hour. I would not think to park on the near side of the street. My signal through the open window would indicate it is I. I would not think to touch an ancient pack of cigarettes wedged between the seats. I would not think to touch the radio while you crossed to me. I would not think to touch the sky hanging down like a burden of wild grape. I would not think to touch the sky with embarrassed laughter the way you slump in your seat. I would not think to touch the sky with two charged terminals of our racing poor decisions. We pull over and stand by the roadside gathering, although I would not think to touch the sky with two arms. Herculaneum was one of the two towns destroyed in the eruption of Vesuvius. It happened to be where a lot of scrolls containing the fragments of Sappho's work were kept. Herculaneum. How like a rapture, that pyroclastic downrushing, when before there was the ordinary afternoon, a dog chasing its tail, a woman wringing dye out of cloth, flowers bowing below a hot cloud like the breath of a child about to gather them up. I'm going to read just one poem from Mercies in the American Desert, which is the latest collection. This one came out during the pandemic, so I didn't really get to read it anywhere. So every time I open it, it's with a little bit of hope and disappointment. But I'll read another one, that's fine. Okay. Parkland. It is June and not everyone graduates. Not everyone tears off their gowns. Not everyone races into the hot mouth of the night in a borrowed car. Tonight there is no curfew, but not everyone laughs and throws popcorn through the movie before sneaking into a doubleheader. Not everyone goes to the all-night diner. Not everyone passes out blissed on the drive home next to the one they love. For now, while the city runs in a loop by their window, not everyone wakes to the first pale flush of morning on the houses of their neighborhood. Is there anybody here from my place of business?
I don't know where you work.
We're not colleagues? Okay. No, I work, I'm writing for transit right now to support transit. And I told my colleagues that if you came, I would read a transit poem, but I'm going to hold off then. I'm not going to read the transit poem. Well, maybe somebody's listening on Facebook.
Yeah, read it.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to wait. I'm going to get to that one. This is a crown of sonnets. So you'll notice it's kind of interlinked. So there are 14 lines, and then the last line of that section starts, or some version of it starts the next section. So I'm just going to give a little like signal when I come to the start of the next section. So you'll know that that last line has been recycled or altered. In the space of an hour, it's kind of a memoir, but it's done in several different approaches, you'll see. And obviously the very last section circles back to the first poem, first line. In the space of an hour. I do not know where I will be when the emergency arrives. So a heavy fire extinguisher pins down the corner of all the rooms in which we are ourselves. I know each individual crisis is unlikely, but it happens. The end of shift drift off with cigarette. The stingray barb through the heart. I'm starting with something small. The job ending. The looming green afternoons of insect emptiness, collecting mail, vanishing options in a vanishing town. A pile of wood to split for winter. Would I split before winter set in? The ice up of the heart, seeing those I love in long decline, sensing my own decline, the distant possibility. I often imagine myself animal alone, curled, hunched, or on all fours. Night has already taken its seat in the cathedral of trees. The stars have all flicked on by now, as butter parallelograms of interiors flick off. I shape my mouth but cannot tell you what sound comes out. Let me be found by first light. First I light the cedar firs, then birch fuses catch, sputtering. God howls in the distance. Fire's a ruse to draw one near. The story needs it. Greedy earshot. My blue eyes shot through with gray, a wandering quality to the hijinks. Tell me if you've heard this one. Since I've become a father, I cannot stop measuring the world as it is against what it might have been. Had imagination not quailed, both more open and more deliberate, that which money won't achieve. Witch hazel moaning, winds deceive me into feeling surrounded, even in the null December clearing where at stealthy center something small and red has been undressed. I'd back away, alarmed, but everything needs to eat, and even now the stars are sharpening times, sizing up our atoms. I've asked our daughter what lies beyond a black hole. She says a white hole, theoretically, where matter is spat out in ways we can't yet measure. Imagine that. A machine creating new matter, new time. Back in the field, the wind plays musically over hollow corn stubble, bone flutes. I lay my stubble face in your hip bones hollow. It's our duty to enjoy the null above Providence before the heat of the day becomes unbearable. Your smile is like shade. Is like Rose Subotnick standing on a milk crate to crank the dial to its limit. To appreciate the dynamics of music, she pipes, you need to listen at top volume. That joy, that permission, that abandon. There is no way Rose is still alive, and no way she is dead. We each raise a chilled glass above the water. We drink chilled water and raise our glass child in a series of dying cities. It's the Rust Belt, with few trees and hills to allay the dust and wind. We picnic at the park where soon police kill Tamir. When our child learns to swim, she nearly disappears. How does one tend shock and sorrow? Lena has asthma bad. Her mother won't bring her to the doctor despite the bullseye rash. Oh, home, where are you hiding? And do you still exist? When we speak now, it's as a series of flowers, tall and back, shorter toward the front. Tall and back, shorter toward the front is how we're arranged by the photographer on the lawn of Marlborough Elementary School. We're smiling in the direction of the camera, and over the photographer's shoulder to one of the town's many picturesque graveyards. We flash all of our new teeth and strain awkward into a future as inscrutable as the powder sky, inscrutable blue. Say cheese, and color block shirts. James is here, gone soon in a drag race. Miss Garber collects us tenderly, the cancer already close to her heart. Our parents are late past late. The parents are late past late, having forgotten the time, forgotten the date. The meal is cold when they arrive. But they're here, what matters? The awkwardness of the lapse will dissipate. Coffee into cream. The desire to remember and be remembered. Great Uncle Leo, tobogganing kids on his broken leg. The parents' land-clearing zeal and simple post-war love. Now they want to hear the solo, want to read the grandchild's citation. We send them home with an orchid or amaryllis to be absorbed by the slim shelves of their final apartment. Finally, hundreds of light-faded books on our shelves, volumes we have packed and reopened, a wash of relief in several states. In one, the Murdoch, some silver grit from the Olympic range. Four-leaf clover in the plays of Ibsen. Were we reading to remember who we were when we thought, excuse me. Were we reading to remember who we were and what we thought? But of course, every book is different now. Even Wuthering Heights bronzes when you've lived through weather. And rooms assume the cast of amber like the basement walls of l'Orangerie, reconstituting the consciousness of Paul Guillaume, alternating tangerine and seafoam. Tangerine and seafoam beads alternate the necklace of first apology in the Algarve. We must have been arguing about the future. Might as well argue about where the river is going. Europe was dying of heat, but the fishermen still took slow boats out in the morning, baited lines and cast skeins. We could see them leaving from the nude beach, returning gilt at dusk, hat bands sweat darkened. Boats low and laden with catch, enormous sardines grilled with lemon and parsley we'd eat in the alley cafe and remember the rest of our lives. Breathed air. The rest of our lives we've been trying to get back to the ocean. Taste, for instance, skinned knuckles. Miss Jean's swift illness and passing. An ocean rises to the eyes, floods the back of the throat like a sea cave, an enigma waded out of. Nose drips, hair drapes, brain limp as brown algae. Fine clay mud of bivalves. The gut bay where horseshoe crabs scuttled like visored helmets, paired off and clamoring. Maybe it was the title swell. We thought we'd make a life of it. Clasped, moved before the surge. Before life moved through us, we thought, we'd move through life. Took courses in Mandarin and Spanish, tried yak butter, feijoa, granadilla, slept in broadleaf shade, peppercorn psychosis, watched a brown bear traverse a saddle coming for us. Yes, these moments felt like finale at the time, but so many lasts were unfolding unnoticed. A terminal verdancy, the absurd bright promise of others. And one time, that must have been the last, I easily hoisted my fading daughter over my shoulder as she melted into sleep, leaving me to walk the planks of a gently sighing porch. Gentle mornings they walked through sighing woods, while cliffs pinked above Camden like baleen. The small moon roved the eye of that Leviathan, so they were seen or dreamt while the town slept. Adelgids were coming for the hemlocks, the way fire had swept through, a lover's hand smoothing hidden topography. This was contemporaneous and also 1892. the trolley ringing to Rockland and back, ghost traffic. Now it was blue, lengthening distance, but soon they would be climbing the ladder into the heaven of heat. I climbed the ladder into the heaven of heat, a delicious time, and nearly faint. Loneliness means simply a place to be alone, a black room windowed with a single mirror. Wood ticks under shingles, expanding, cooling, the way a chest rises and falls, a geologic loosening of galvanized nails. I am never hungry here. My pulse has slowed. Already the family friend is on their way, having heard from my father at the hospital. So little of the future reveals itself, but I know when the emergency arrives, I will be here. Quick transportation poem. I can hear the tea rumbling underneath, so I feel like I have to. So
It's actually Harvard students partying.
well, let's join them in a second. The cocktail list made me thirsty. Any evening, I and the girl nodding off in the facing bench, her afro divided, tied back in two clouds beside her head. Clatter from darkness at Kendall, sail above the city, that restless sleeper pulling blankets of rumpled midnight blue up to its neck. In the folds, sparks of office lights left on by subtle phalanxes of cleaners, earbuds in, their own sueños, above which we drag like slow comets, shaking ice and dust, clearing now the Charles. Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry to impose such a financial burden on all of you, but you really have to get these 3 books. I mean, at least one of them. Ben, that was really terrific. That Crown of Sonnets was a tour de force. And what was particularly interesting was the enormous wit and also the sobriety of the transition, of the repetitions, the way things moved in and out. And so it's said that people would leave a Shakespeare play in the era of the Globe Theater, and they would have actually memorized whole parts of the play. That was just their training. They listened with that kind of attention. I wish I had that attention for your poems. I kept thinking, okay, I got to remember. So the first thing I remembered was sacristy or autoclave. Is that right? And there was a geometry or geography of porcelain. Something G of porcelain. Geometry of porcelain. And then peppercorn psychosis. And Heather Nelson and I, who read Wuthering Heights together recently in our book group, even Wuthering Heights bronzes when you live in what's the line again?
After you've lived through weather, yeah.
After you've lived through weather, man, got a whole new perspective. Anyway, this was a really terrific trio of readings and so complimentary in a really interesting way. And I just want to thank you guys so much for your passion and your wordsmithery, and you're all wonderful readers in really different ways. So great. There's so many bad readers in academic poetry. Even now, this landscape is assembling. Anyway. Anyway, thanks again to James. Thanks all of you for coming. What a great crowd. I mean, was it 10 days ago we had one person sign up? So everybody, thank you so much for coming out. It is a treacherous night. Be careful when you go out there. Wait. If you don't walk out of here with one book, I'm going to be very disappointed. I might not speak to any of you again.
Give Tom Daley a round of applause.
Yes, of course.
I don't know if you can hear me. from Medford, and I just want to thank everybody. And
I really enjoyed your work. And your poem, like you said, your mother's silky voice.
The other dome.
Like
Are you
a
staying?
I love the fact that your name is also
Yeah,
Heather.
yeah, for a while. We're gonna go out afterwards, probably.
Yeah,
You're gonna go home?
Yeah, I
I'm
have
sorry,
another
40
house.
All right, thank you for
You
coming.
must be roughly 50.
Yeah, I'm 57, so that was the era of feathers.
Yep, it was. I am
Back's back here.
53. So
Go ahead.
we were born in the era of Heather and Colleen.
So what's
I
that?
got your, when you didn't come the last time, I got your book at Dodge. So
right.
yeah, I forget what these I get. Have you signed?
Yes, you want me to pass the messages on to them?
Well, you know, Mike McGrath, who works for Grolier,
And it's very
his
subtle.
stepfather is very active in the commuter rail union.
Oh, okay, cool.
Originally very nice.
Yeah.
You might like that
So you're a natural man.
It's a great place to write. Get on a train.
It's the Irish. So you
Where are you living?
and it stays after you've slipped out of an Irish accent. I did, so I wasn't sure. Actually, even the way you just said, oh, it's funny. You said
Yeah,
that
like
very
every
Irish.
other
It's very Irish. I'm a and when I was in Ireland years ago, and it wasn't intentional at all on my part.
It is, yeah.
By the
Yeah.
time I got to Cork, which is where my family is from,
Yeah, it's
Have you found
I
poetry
had people coming up and asking me what part of Ireland I was from, and I'm like, I'm not even aware that I'm speaking in an accent. Like I wasn't even
Okay.
aware that
I have I do have a poetry podcast. So
you sound like you speak like you're from Ireland.
poets that are
Yeah, if I was to speak with a slight less than the voice the way that you are, you'd think I was Irish too. It's very subtle, but you have it there.
This one?
She
She's
is.
born there.
Okay, so I was gonna say, I'm hearing.
That was the whole conversation. Welcome to conversation.
And is your promise honest out of print yet?
What'd you say?
Is it promise honest? Is it out of print yet? Okay, I want to get it.
So would you?
There is a long poem in this one in Burn Lyrics that if you're interested in like more in poems that are more kind of enduring, that's
I love the art on that cover. That's amazing.
yeah, she did that during her pregnancy.
No one actually.
One thing I really like about your poems is they were short, but when they ended, I felt like it just ended in the right place. Wow, it just ended, but it feels like it's ending in the
Basically, I
right
said that I
direction.
needed to
Can you
work
tell
on my
that
American
one of my favorite
accent.
poets is It's really small kind of gem.
Like your poem.
No, that's it.
Thanks so much. Listen, boy.
What's your name?
I have
Let me
a
tap
cousin
this corner.
who has an Irish family, and every year just with people
American poetry.
I love like different more than you like. So but yes, because I like this rose.
Yeah,
Stuck here?
and plays.
Okay. Everything in its time.
Send me a message.
Hey Thomas. Thomas, could you sign a copy for me and I'm gonna buy one up there.
Where's Thomas? Somebody wants to take a picture.
Oh yeah.
Here, you guys. Can you, Partridge? Can you guys? She wants to take a picture.
Oh, very good. Okay.
Partridge, would you sign a copy for me too, please?
And yeah, I'm getting and
So just for a second, look at this. This is great.
Just for a second.
sure.
Whenever works better.
You are Mercies.
Yes.
So while you're staying in the Boston area, or you're
Sure.
It was an accent up by itself. No, you really do. You speak with the nose. It's really interesting. I'm very, very sensitive.
Yeah.
We'll do it on the author.
There-
the half page, and then do that.
After a while, I
Yes, yes, let me do this here.
You wrote a lot about your personal lives. I know Sylvia. I'm actually teaching a class online on hand sex. I just taught a class.
Here you go.
Well, I used to teach for something called older, wiser, lifelong learners at Lexington. Probably next fall.
Well, I enjoyed your reading. And my name is Emma.
But it's
Hi.
Sure.
No,
Would you like me to sign it, or would you like me to write your name in there too?
I'll send you.
Whatever you want to do.
Okay.
My name is Judson. Judson Evans.
Judson.
SON. That was a fantastic reading. So,
Thank you.
the Sappho was just incredible. I mean, I love Ann Carson's.
Yeah, yeah. I love almost everything she does.
I do too. I do too.
Have you read
Yeah.
her original, like her first collection with Briggs Press? I forget what it's called. It's like really thin, like thin and narrow. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I love the history of pretty much anything she
Yeah.
knows is brilliant.
Yeah.
And Sappho and Eros the Bittersweet is one of my favorites.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
I taught Sappho for many years.
Oh wow. Okay. Very cool. Where did you teach?
At Boston Conservatory. But it was like the debate about Sappho. And is Sappho a real person, or is Sappho the leader of a choral group? Very esoteric, but the students got all worked up about kind of the homoeroticism. Is the homoeroticism for real, or is this a ritual?
Okay, small t, lowercase t, O M.
Need my back or you?
That's good. Very good. Period or dot, and then D as in David, A L E Y. Okay, that's good. Can you tell me how I can get on the street too? At Verizon.
He was one of the few
I think
we were in school.
Z.
And you were 25% super still way back.
I'm writing 19 at David.
I thought the other day, I'm like, oh no, we haven't been there.
We haven't been there for a
Quarter
while.
century. Oh.
Oh, it's got really cool.
I absolutely love your reading.
That's right. Yeah, so
Is that my imagination, or did you use the word shroom as a verb?
and I can tell you about
That was wonderful.
I teach poetry.
Sure.
Poetry writing.
What's your name?
That's my middle name.
What's your first name?
Joseph.
Oh my gosh, that's my note. That's freaky.
And my last name starts with an L. There you go.
Wow.
Well, I mean, they're both the biblical, you know.
Yeah.
In fact, they were
And Hagar
related.
What's my Europa, which I love so much. I don't know how it is. I'm Welsh. My family's Welsh. Spent time with that for accent.
Where did you learn?
Thank you very much. Enjoyed your reading.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming too. Have you gone to a lot of readings here? Or?
I've never been to a reading here.
Oh, okay.
My first one, yeah.
All right. It's a unique place.
Yeah.
Not very close.
You said you were gonna, then when you said you were gonna read about work, I thought you were gonna read something that like would be not safe for me for work for the year. I was like, okay, that's good. No,
Well, you know, I don't want, you know, Yeah, you say that you work for a particular place that everybody has an experience with, and it's like everybody's like, hey, let me tell you about my stuff on the team. Let me tell you about my bus experience. It's like I can't do anything about that, but I'm trying. It's a big, big.
I was a bus for a long ride today, and it was really
Right. Mine was delayed slightly because they were de-icing the third rail. That's why there's special trains for
I know, I gotta get out.
No, I live down on the South Shore.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, you
Partridge, how much is Levis corner house? How much is this?
I think there's a price on it.
That's good.
I don't see it.
Yeah, no, I have to see this.
Well, you can
Just
check.
coming up.
Someone's for you. I don't think I did.
Bye, Joe.
Everybody moving awkwardly around the room. Right? We like, there's a couple of
Thank you.
Are we leaving that door open for a reason?
Good question.
Hey, Ben. Thank you.
Our other friend who was here who just took off. Was about 40 years.
Tom Daley, are we coming out?
I would like to.
Well, Joe wants to also, so at least there's us.
Okay, so I like to go to the cellar.
Yeah, no, that's good. I will have to go to the bank machine where they're cash only, and I don't have cash, but I can do that.
I can do this with cash. They can give it to me on
On
Friday.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
just
most
got
of
it.
them, yeah, one drink.
My signing, yes. And sign, yes. To ILN.
Elon.
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. Half page.
Oh yeah, I get, we've got a 6 minutes 30.
For you from the corner here.
Thank you.
You look familiar. I feel like I met you before. I'm going back.
Nice to meet you.
January.
I don't think I've met her.
So now I will find there or follow.
You want to go out for a drink?
I have to get, thank you, some other time.
You driving?
Yeah.
Good to see you. We have to do a museum trip.
Yeah, it sounds like they're closing that down soon.
Elon.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Oh, you haven't been?
No.
We're actually gonna go. Gail and John and I decided.
I like that boy band you have on your.
Oh yeah.
So we didn't.
If I wasn't gonna wear my Grolier t-shirt, I was gonna wear.
I'm heading to Pennsylvania. Yeah, I've got to get in to see my family there. So unfortunately, I'm probably gonna miss it. I mean, I've seen many a show. I love it. Anyway, that was great introductions and a wonderful meeting.
Say hi to Phil.
I will.
Yes, sir.
Start drive down. So no, but then I spent, my problem was that when I got here, I always used to take trains.
Right.
Because parking was.
Of course, yeah.
So normally I never ever drive.
Of everybody
So now that I'm here, I'm driving around and looking at all the signs that say 2 hour parking from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I'm like, okay, does that mean that after 8 p.m. we can park as long as we want? Well, we can't
Well, sorry, no, it's finding these.
Yeah, and then, yes, you can, Bert. But
I
you
was
probably
asking
didn't.
Passionate description.
Yeah.
Like, if she's your best friend, and you're still alive, she's still alive, what is this book doing in a used bookstore?
Yes,
From
yes.
8 a.m. to 8 p.m. you have to be out by 8 p.m. or you'll get towed. So then I spent the next 20 minutes driving around trying to find any meetup that did not have a sign that said that. Finally called the police to start me in complete despair, and I'm like, please for the love of God, tell me where I can park that I'm not going to get towed. And they were like, who told you that you can, like, literal security detail cops told me that I could not park in these spaces after 8 a.m. And they're like, do you not know why you told me that? And I'm like, okay, right. But then I was like rushing to
I am glad you're not.
Down to Canterbury.
Oh, so that's your dinner?
I'm just gonna like grab my scarf, half my sandwich up as I'm walking from like there to here. Just like, I came in, I was like, okay,
They said remember before Episcopalian on the Court of Violence.
there's so much more structure than it needed to be.
Very good, very good.
There's these things.
But we have to sign the post.
Okay.
The readers.
If there's a reader's post, you should go sign.
So when is your launch?
March 26th, 40 Square Books. It's Thursday. A competitive night, but I say go
Well,
for
send
it.
me, send me.
I will.
Quarter square, that's a good
And then
business.
they can say what you've been on, and she said,
We'll have to pull some serious
And
strings.
it's yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you guys are really good. My name is Marie, but I actually had an intern a few years back. She was young, and I was in her like early to mid-20s.
Probably got a lot tonight.
But they make a lot of noise.
Yes, exactly.
First, middle,
Oh,
and
that's
Maybe the readers
wild.
put me in the mind of
which
it.
is one that you said had to be
Perfect, but you know, I don't like.
So we had to call
I don't want to party
the
with
head of the elder and
So we're done?
And during Zoom meetings, I was like answering questions.
that's hilarious.
Thank you very much.
Barbara Sue Carter.
Wherever you want.
Who was on
Don't need before we get photographed.
Are you a writer also? But not professional.
I'm going to, going out for a drink to the,
I was primarily.
cellar. You wanna come? So the cellar is down about 4 blocks, know where that is?
It's right where we came from.
I was on stage every 5
No, no,
minutes.
no.
I mean,